Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. This particular case, part of it was good, was part of it was bad because she did get scammed, but the second time around things turned out differently. Again, some of the things to watch out for, people are still falling for this particular one because hey, no one wants to receive a call from the sheriff's department saying, "Hey, there's a warrant out for your arrest." Most people are going to try to get that taken care of as quickly as possible. But let's go ahead and see what happened in this particular case.
An elderly Austin woman scammed out of thousands of dollars. It happened earlier this week after someone called her claiming she had a warrant out for her arrest. The FBI says last year alone, Texans over the age of 60 collectively lost billions of dollars in these kinds of elder fraud scams. KXAN's Sarah Al-Sheikh explains the warning signs to look out for.
A phone call ending with thousands of dollars lost.
I felt ashamed and embarrassed.
This Austin woman who asked us to hide her identity says she got a call on Monday from a man who said he was with the sheriff's department.
There is a warrant out for your arrest. You didn't go to jury duty on August the 2nd. I need to be on the phone with you and tell you what to do in order to raise money and get this taken care of.
She says she wasn't thinking clearly at the time as her husband's been in the hospital for weeks.
He told me I had to withdraw a great deal of money from the bank in cash. And then he told me I had to go to an HEB because they don't take checks or anything.
So she followed his instructions, going to HEB and converting the money to Bitcoin.
He wanted me to take the receipt and put it in a mailer and drop it at the post office.
Within about 45 minutes, she was out of thousands of dollars. But it didn't stop there. The man on the other line wanted more.
He says, well, now there's a problem. He says, there are 2 warrants out for your arrest.
Luckily, when the woman went to another bank, a manager told her this seems to be a scam.
She says, give me your phone. She says, don't you ever call this woman ever again. And then she told me to block his number.
We've seen a significant increase in elder fraud over the last couple years.
According to the FBI, last year alone, Texans over the age of 60 lost more than $278 billion in elder fraud schemes. FBI Supervisory Special Agent Adam Pohl says it's happening right here in the greater Austin area.
I receive complaints almost every day relating to these types of schemes.
Pohl says scammers will create a sense of urgency. He recommends taking a minute to think twice.
Pause, take a breath, step back, verify, try to verify independently what you're dealing with. Ask a family member, ask a neighbor.
This woman says she'll put those tips to practice, but ultimately,
it's going to take a long time before I trust someone again. But I want other people to know, because I don't want it to happen to anyone else. Let my bad fortune help others.
Sarah Al-Sheikh, KXAN News.
And knowledge is power, and the National Council on Aging recommends that families have constant conversations about these types of scams that target older people. Experts say tone is important. Avoid imposing your ideas and instead focus on an informative approach. So, for example, saying you've heard about a type of scam and then asking questions like, what do you think about this? You can also discuss a plan in case they encounter a scammer, encouraging them to reach out to ask for help. Scammers rely on victims not really speaking up. And if a family member falls for a scam, just show some empathy, because scams are often a form of organized crime and the victims often need emotional support.
All right, let me stop there. There is so much to talk about here. First of all, I recently was scheduled for jury duty, but I was going to be out of town. Plane tickets had already been purchased. Hotel was already set up. I was going with my mom and my daughter. So I was a little unnerved to get this jury notification and be like, okay, I gotta get this rescheduled or something. Thankfully, there's a process in place for that. I was able to get it rescheduled. And not only that, I wound up not having to appear when I called to check in. Well, suppose I had then received some sort of call saying you missed jury duty and you now need to do A, B, and C. Well, because I'm in the legal system, for me, it's going to be a call and verify, independently verify, call over to the sheriff's department and say, hey, is there this warrant for this missed jury duty? Here's when I called. I can actually show you on my phone when I made the phone call. So there's a conversation that can take place. A lot of people never get to the point, though, of the independent verification. And so let me talk about what I still have left up here on this screen. Have constant conversations. I totally agree. Inform, don't impose. I disagree just a little bit. Yes, you want to have an educational tone with people. However, there are times when you may need to be very precise in what you're saying in order to get your point across. A, do not ever do this. B, don't fall for this. Whatever it is, I think this sort of I don't even know how to phrase it here. You can see how discombobulated I am. I don't even know how to phrase it. This sort of beating around the bush, and I'm going to say it in a way that doesn't hurt their feelings or make them think that they can't handle it. No, let them know everybody's getting taken down by scammers and fraudsters. They went after Graceland, for goodness sake. Let them know they are just like anybody else, and scammers will come after them too. And no, you cannot fall for whoever's name is appearing on the phone. Don't trust it. Don't believe it. I think you have to be very specific and very upfront with people about what they should and should not be doing. That's sort of inform, don't impose. I get it. Don't impose, but be very clear about what people should and should not be doing. Watch out for red flags. Discuss a plan in case of a scam. Yes. Okay. I've talked recently about coming up with a safe phrase because of AI tools that are now allowing people to clone your voice. Like I have whole videos out there. They apparently only need a few seconds. Well, I've got hours out there. So they can put together a whole conversation, a whole book, a whole webinar and presentation on just the words that I've already said. They can teach their AI tools really well. Have a phrase in place so that if you get one of those kinds of calls and you think it's a family member, know what the phrase is and say, hey, what's the safe phrase? Well, if the other party doesn't have it, you know you're not dealing with a family member, right? Have empathy. Of course, have empathy. That's the whole piece where I was saying, remind them that this has happened to so many people. Billions of dollars have been lost. In our state alone, there was some scammer that hit one of our candidates for a I want to say a very high up office. So this can impact anyone. Just some things to think about. And I wrote down this other piece to this. Now that I'm finished talking about that, I can take that off the screen here. Well, I kind of would like to stay on the screen myself. All right. You notice how once you fall for it, they will come back. They will come back. And you notice the scammer was just like, hey, turns out you got 2 warrants. Well, of course, you paid the first one. So now they want you to pay the second one too. Yes, they are going to keep coming back. The thing that really saved her was this bank manager stepping up and saying, hey, this doesn't sound right. Taking the phone and saying, don't you ever call this woman ever again. That's the kind of, I want to say, looking out for other people we need to be doing. A lot of times, these transactions with our banks, with our financial institutions are very transactional. A lot of times we don't necessarily know people by name. We aren't running inside the bank trying to get to know people, right? We're trying to make a deposit. We're trying to make sure things are good to go. And then we're on to the next thing. In this case, she had gone inside the bank, and this manager recognized that this just did not sound right. This manager saved her probably thousands more dollars and probably around 3 of something else. I can imagine, 6 months from now, they would have come back with another scam targeting her. So some things to watch out here. These red flags, Bitcoin, no. Independently verified. Somebody's calling from your sheriff's department about a warrant. Guess what? You can hang up and say, I'm going to call the sheriff's department myself. Give me, the information so that I can, what juror number was I? What date was I scheduled to appear? There should be what's the warrant number? What judge signed or issued that? There are questions you can ask, and I get it. A lot of times people don't know that these are questions that they can ask. That's fine. But you can say, I'm going to call the sheriff's department and ask. That's what I'm going to do. So independently verify, hang up the phone on them. If they're legitimate, then they'll give you a number to call back. It should match the number from the sheriff's department, but you should call the sheriff's department independent of that number that they give you. Give that number to the FBI. All right, so that's it. Just a few things here. Watch out for anybody telling you to pick up cash, go to the post office, get some Bitcoin. Okay. Anybody who's telling you, they're calling from the sheriff's department, you can call and verify that yourself. Yes, have a safe phrase with family and friends. And one of the other things they talked about was if you're ever in this position, make sure that you're reaching out to just people you know. Hey, I got this phone call today. It just sounded really weird. What are your thoughts? All right. Okay. So a lot of information there. Again, heads up, thanks to this bank official, this bank manager who stepped in. It'd be nice if if banks would have more conversations with their managers, not just about looking out for scams in general, but about asking questions when people are coming in to make sure that that it's not a scam. And I recognize that some banks are already doing this and they're trying to get better at it. But yes, there is a lot of room for improvement from all of us. How about that? All right, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.